Randall Everett is president of the 21st Century Wilberforce Initiative. Pastor Everett, thanks for joining us today. And I know your team just got back from Iraq. You interviewed dozens of internally displaced Christians, Yazidis, and others. What disturbed you the most about what you heard from them?
Well, we really believe there's genocide against the Christians and other religious minorities like the Yazidis. They've been there. The legend tells us that the Apostle Thomas was the one who brought the gospel to them, and that the light of Christianity has been there throughout the centuries. And unless something dramatic happens, there'll be no Christians left in Iraq in just a few years. There were 1.5 million there about a decade ago, and now there are less than 300,000, and probably among the 300,000, a majority of those are in these displacement centers.
Well, let's get into some of the atrocities. There have been reports that Islamic State has beheaded Christian children. However, I have numerous sources in Iraq who told me they have seen no evidence of that. What did you learn about that? What's the truth?
We didn't hear any stories of that, and we tried to document all the stories that we had heard. There were 2 children that were killed by a mortar that came from ISIS when they came into their community, their village. There have been others who were killed. Now, among the Yazidis in Sinjar, there were much more horrible things that happened. Of course, the Christians were given 2 hours to abandon their homes, their jobs, their places where they had lived, and they suffered horribly. But the Yazidis, we heard more about murders and suicides and kidnapping. They seem to receive the brunt of their violence.
And your team visited the NPU, the Nineveh Protection Unit. Tell us, what is that group and what's its purpose?
Well, it really reminded me of the American Revolutionary Army. We were there the first day of their drills. They just come together. It's about 500 people. These are all displaced people as well. They were driven from their homes. It's an all-volunteer army. Of course, they're unemployed. They're people who are living in exile themselves. Some of them were older and many out of shape, and some were younger and fit. All kinds of vocational backgrounds, physicians or teachers or farmers. But they've come together to really develop what might be more like a National Guard. They'll never be able to retrieve the lands for themselves, but if the lands are liberated, then perhaps they can go back and help to protect their own people when they get back.
So finally, what should be done to prevent this extinction that they face, that your report says the minorities in Iraq face, religious minorities?
Well, 100% of them said they want to go home. And so if there was a way to provide a province for them in Nineveh for the Christians to return back to there and live in a safe environment, that would be the most ideal thing. And for that to happen, then they would need international military support to be able to go back and liberate and protect an area like that. Supporting like the Nineveh Plains Unit that we mentioned, that would help them as well. If they aren't able to go back, then they said they'll leave Iraq because they can't continue to live in the deplorable situation that they're in now. Many living in just little shacks or containers with no drinkable water, no electricity, in horrible situations now. So if they don't get some help, then they'll end up leaving. So we want to also offer humanitarian assistance to them at this time in their lives.
Okay, Pastor Randall Everett of the 21st Century Wilberforce Initiative. We'll continue to pray for them. I'm sure you will too. Thank you for your insights.
You bet. Thank you. It's an honor to be with you.